What's going on, guys? Just wrapped up the 5th event down here on San Rayburn for the Texas Fest, and I had a great time. Caught a lot of fish, probably caught 110 bass in 2 days, but unfortunately I finished 70th place. I average about 15 pounds a day. But I'm going to get ahead and I'm going to jump into how I caught them this week, and hopefully you guys can learn something. I appreciate you guys tuning in. The first technique that I try to utilize in the morning was a topwater. We launched at 7 o'clock, so unfortunately a lot of the schooling activity was already over, but I was definitely able to capitalize on a few 3-pound bites. And here I'm throwing a Head saltwater super spook in bone color. You can see I've thrown it quite a bit. This is the same super spook I caught him on Okeechobee. But definitely one of the keys, and the same thing I was doing over there, is I was upgrading the treble hooks to a size #1 Berkley Fusion treble, and they're really sharp. And even throughout the day I'm still swapping out them trebles, because when it comes down to topwater fishing, your hookup ratio isn't great. You know, so being able to keep sharp treble hooks on that bait definitely allowed me to catch a few more of them fish. But my setup on this is a fast gear ratio reel. I have an 8-to-1 Revo ALX. I have 50-pound Berkley professional grade braided line, a 7-foot medium heavy Fantastistas, and I'm just taking really long casts. And something I think I already went over in the last video, but I like to throw braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I tie a loop knot. Basically, whenever you're working that topwater, this is a really erratic side-to-side action type topwater, and it definitely doesn't foul up in the treble hooks. You know, if you tie that fluorocarbon on, that fluorocarbon won't tangle as bad as braided line. So whenever you're tying and you're throwing this type of topwater, a walking plug, it's definitely key to put on that little piece of fluorocarbon leader. But that was the first technique. I caught a few bass on it each day, but it's definitely something I like to throw whenever them fish are post-spawn. They really like to eat that topwater bait.
Big dog.
That's the way to start the day, baby. Come on.
That's what you need right there.
So after the topwater bite, I tried a bunch of different things. I threw a jerkbait in on some offshore grass. I threw a big worm. I graphed a lot of places and brush piles out deep, but unfortunately I wasn't able to put anything together. So it wasn't until about lunchtime I decided to run up that river, and I decided to start flipping. That was kind of my backup plan coming into this. And pretty much when I'm flipping, I keep it pretty simple. You know, I flip a 1/2-ounce jig and I flip a Texas rig. But a couple of things that I was doing a little bit different. First off, this is a brand new bait. It's a Berkley Power Bait Max Scent Creature Hog. And that color right there is green pumpkin. But it's a new bait that we have coming out, and I was fortunate in getting a bunch of them shipped to me, and I probably caught 50 bass on that in each day, and it was just one of them things. It was fun fishing, just wasn't able to run into them big ones. But how I keep it and how I was setting it up this week is I was using a lighter weight for this, a 5/16 ounce weight, a 4/0 Fusion EWG hook, and definitely putting a bobber stop on there. I'm fishing some bushes and some heavy cover, so it's definitely key in putting a bobber stop on there. But another important thing that I was doing on both the jig and the Texas rig, normally I fish 20-pound fluorocarbon whenever I'm fishing a lot of this stuff. But whenever you're down here in Texas and you're wrangling with some really big bass, I definitely like to upsize the 25-pound trilene 100% fluorocarbon. You don't have to worry about it. This stuff's like goat rope, and it's one less thing you got to worry whenever you're trying to wrangle with them big bass. But my setups are the same. I use a 8-to-1 Revo ALX reel, so 25-pound trilene 100% fluorocarbon, and a 7'3" heavy action Fantastistas. I mean, I like to use that shorter rod whenever I'm really trying to target fish. Your accuracy definitely goes up whenever you use that shorter rod. A lot of guys think that you need to use a 7.5 or an 8-foot rod when it comes down to heavy cover, big line, but that's a bunch of bogus. get ahead and use a shorter rod, your action goes up, your pitches are better, and you tend to get a lot more bites when you're doing it. So that's the setup whenever I'm using a Texas rig. And here are some colors. I went through all the black and blue, but you can see what that bait's gonna look like. I wish you guys can smell it, because that's definitely gonna be the biggest thing. It's advertised as catching 45% more fish. And that's gonna be a game changer when it comes down to it as soon as it hits the market. So whenever I'm flipping, I like to have a 1-2 punch. So I like to have a Texas rig and then also a 1/2 ounce jig. And the biggest reason for that is a lot of times, especially down here, whenever you're getting a lot of bites, a jig tends to get better than average bites. So after I was catching 30 or 40 and wasn't really able to upgrade, I only had 13 pounds or so, I picked up a 1/2 ounce jig. And again, this is a brand new trailer that Berkley just came out with. It's called their Meaty Chunk, and that's sapphire blue. That's a 1/2 ounce black and blue all-terrain jig, 25-pound fluorocarbon. And the cool thing about 25-pound fluorocarbon on a 1/2 ounce jig is you still have that profile and you still have that accuracy of a heavy jig, but the 25-pound fluorocarbon really slows that fall down, because I'm fishing these bushes that are in less than 2 foot of water. So being able to slow down the fall, I definitely felt like it was important. First day of the tournament, I ended up catching a 4-pounder right at the end of the day. And the second day of the tournament, I was able to catch a couple of my key fish on that. Same setup, 25-pound Trilene 100% fluorocarbon. I have this on a Revo STX 8-to-1 gear ratio reel. Same rod, 7.3 heavy action, Abu Garcia Fantasisa Premier. And that was my setup. Definitely trying to find the isolated stuff. Whenever you're up the river, you really want to try to find the things that stick out, whether it's a bush that's on a point, or a cypress tree that's in a stretch of bank that has no cypress trees. So just trying to find something that was different, and that was key. And I'm going to get ahead and show you the pack of them. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of different colors. This is going to be a great jig trailer. I was pretty much alternating back and forth from a standard black to a sapphire blue. Whenever I'm in muddy water, those are my 2 favorite jig trailers, 2 favorite colors. And definitely that scent's going to be a game changer when it comes down to it, and I look forward to fishing it a lot more the rest of the season.